In this session, we're going to continue our explanation of the process model canvas and apply it to a real example. And to refresh your memory, what the process model canvas is really about is to take the wow factor, the customer experience, as a starting point to reason about what needs to take place within an improved process design. And along the way, you may find out new reasons why that business process is actually there. This is the process model canvas, and at the top of the process model canvas is the what. The what we actually do in a process, is determined in a highly creative way, which takes the participation of many different people. And what is actually done in a session is that people put post-its on this process model canvas to identify different steps, different activities, and also the information that needs to be exchanged between the different partners. There are also concerns that may be identified during a session, and these concerns also need to be noted. Let's take a look at a process, and it is not a particularly exciting process. It is a process where we are going to refuel our car at a gas station. It is something that we all need to do at some points in time, but nobody will be really thrilled to do it. So let's take this rather dull example as a starting point for our exercise. What we may want to do is to engage a number of people to start thinking about this process. And I would invite, if I would lead such a session, people to come up with new ideas. What would excite our customer in this particular process? The existing process is, of course, simple. When the customer arrives, we have to deliver fuel and we have to bill the customer. But now let's start thinking about new things. One participant may say, okay, what a customer really wants is cheap fuel and fast refilling. And we would continue with generating new ideas. But if we would look at this particular factor, we would all agree, of course, that this is important to a customer. On the other hand, this is probably the factor that has been behind the design of many gas stations already. Gas refill has been optimized already with respect to these criteria. So we may not gain much by pursuing this factor. It's already there. Let's assume we would go on and try to come up with other factors. And somebody else may say, okay, what about not only refilling, but also cleaning a car when a customer comes in? This is, of course, a very nice idea. This is something which would actually improve the perception of the service that is delivered. On the other hand, it is something that has been tried out many times. In the 50s, your car would always be cleaned if you would fill up. And at some point, gas stations decided not to do it anymore, probably to reduce costs. So even though it may be an idea worth pursuing, let's see if we can come up with something new, something exciting. And somebody comes up with another idea, perhaps an idea like this one. Hey, how about these people that come in with their cars and they all have devices with them and they would leave the gas station not only with a refilled car, but also with personalized advice that would tell customers about trajectories that they would drive through, would take, and where they would actually spend too much fuel considering norms that you would have there. And if you could give them advice when they would drive there again and tell them, hey, this is where you spend a lot of fuel, perhaps you should slow down a little or gear up, then this could be perceived as a very good service. Okay, let's take this idea and see how the process model canvas would actually help you to identify what the process would look like if you want to establish this. The first thing to do is to reason about what is it that we are actually going to deliver. What is the information that we're going to give the client when he or she fills up here. And on top of the gas that we would in the ordinary process deliver, we would also provide alerts. Alerts that would tell a customer at some points during their journeys, hey, this is an area where you could actually save fuel by changing your speed. To get that information, we really have to do something. We have to perform an activity in this process. We have to upload these alerts, of course, to a particular device. But before we can do that, before we can actually upload it, we have to identify the trajectories which are costly. The question then is, of course, how can we do that? We have to carry out a particular activity which concerns the analysis of the driving history of a particular customer. And let's do this trick one more time. When can we do this activity? Well, we need information about the history. We need information about where the client has been and how fuel has been used during these trips. And of course, we can reason even further back to other pieces of information activities we have to carry out. But I hope you get the idea. Reasoning from a particular factor to all the information and the activities that have to be performed. Well, you may say this seems like a very naive approach because you forget a lot about things. For example, the technology. Not everybody uses the same device. Privacy. Not every client may be interested in getting this, but would prefer just the gas. These are, of course, things we should not forget about, but these are the things we should take into account in a second pass through the process model canvas. In the end, what you may establish with using the process model canvas is not only a new process design, but a whole new motivation why we are doing this process. In this particular example, we may end up not only being just a gas station, but we may end up being an economic partner for our clients. Not only saving money on the fuel itself, but also saving on usage of the fuel. Let me try to wrap this up. I told you about the process model canvas, and I've shown you an application in the gas example. You may try out for yourself if you can follow the steps that I have been explaining. Can you take, for a particular process that you are familiar with, can you take a wow factor as a starting point to identify the information exchanges and the different activities that need to be added to an existing process? I think you have a pretty good idea of how that could work out, and of course it works better if you would do this together with other people.